Shake and bake, baby. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of your favorite, the Burn It Down podcast. I am your host, Joshua Altus, with my co-host, Mr. Ross Tatum. Ross, how you doing this Sunday evening?
Josh, I'm doing great. I just had a great day on the books. I possibly have a second baby showing up tomorrow to
Ooh,
make my
baby
life
boy.
more complicated. But other than that, pretty good. Pretty good weekend of racing, but we'll obviously talk about it. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Honestly, not a whole lot to complain about for me. I enjoyed this weekend of racing. Not going to touch on it a lot, but just want to start out with the Arca series at Talladega. Obviously, Cletus making the headlines there. Pretty entertaining Arca race overall. I'm not going to break it down too much. Cletus had a shot, man. He had a shot to win it at the end. And it just made me laugh because it just goes to show the lack of experience, not just with Cletus, but with the entire field. You know, not really understanding why he can't get too far out and just not really understanding the draft at all. It was just kind of funny to me to see all those cars spread apart so much. But he almost did it, man. He almost hung on and won. Came up a little short, but P2 for Cletus.
Dude, that was an exciting race there at the end. Like you said, nobody knew what they were doing. They were just riding. They were just going for whatever run they had. And, yeah, he almost got it. He almost got it there. I was rooting for him there, actually, because, that'd kind of throw a little pie in NASCAR's face if he would have won that, honestly. I mean, can you imagine if Cletus McFarland got his first National Series win before someone like Daniel Dye or someone else like that? Very entertaining race. I was pumped there at the end. It sucks that he lost, but I mean, big win for Andy J. I can't even say his last name. Don't even want to attempt it, but it was a good race.
Yeah, it was. It was very entertaining, and the most important thing is he's bringing the entertainment for the fans. So good on Cletus. Hopefully, we'll continue to keep seeing him around.
Hey, Josh, this weekend was definitely the weekend of storylines. So you go with Cletus, you go with today's result, you go with yesterday with Jason Kelsey. Crazy week.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get into the ORAP rave, I've got a little bit of beef to pick with you. There's a very popular topic this week about Stephen A. Smith talking about how NASCAR drivers aren't athletes, and you agree with him. What's
I
up with
do.
that? Okay, I disagree with you, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it, but give me your side here. Convince me, because I'm not with you.
Hey, man, all you got to do is look at some of our drivers right now. You got Brad Kay out there, Kyle Busch, Chris Buescher. Who else we got out there? I mean, we got some guys that are just not athletic guys who don't take fitness seriously. And when I think of an athlete, I think of someone who is fit and has the ability to do sport-like things. To me, driving is a skill, and I think our drivers are really good at it. Now, you made a valid point that some of our drivers are athletes, some of the top drivers. But then we have some top drivers who are definitely not athletes. I don't know if anybody's seen the Brad Keselowski basketball video. Please look it up if you can on YouTube. It's probably one of the best videos you'll ever see in your life. I used to play it all the time on Twitter and X and all that. Yeah, give me your reason why drivers are athletes.
I think first and foremost, it's a different type of athleticism. I think athleticism, as it encompasses what it means to be athletic, can be a lot of different things. And I think the requirements are different for the driver. I think it's a lot of mental sharpness, which I think is still an athletic trait, whether you want to agree or not. I think it is. And then just the fact of being in a car for 4 hours, 140 degrees, you know, if you're falling out the seat, it's going to affect your performance. So I agree with you. Maybe not every single one of them is athletic, but I think in order to be successful and to be really good, you need to be athletic.
My pushback on the car thing is most of these guys are wearing cool suits now, bringing the temperature down pretty good. Now we see what happens when they fail. Hey, that's athletic when you're dying in the car, when your cool suit fails and all that goes down. But I don't see the athleticism that it takes to be a NASCAR driver. We've been in the garage. You've been in the garage a ton. You've seen a lot of these guys.
So is it for you? Is it a generational thing, or because I mean, like go back in like the '80s or something, where these
I mean,
guys are, I mean, no power steering or hot days at Daytona, no cool suits. I mean, would you argue? I mean, to me, I will say I'll kind of agree with you in the sense that I think it's easier today than it used to be. But I mean, to say that they weren't athletes back in the day like that to me is crazy.
no, I definitely think you had to be in good shape back in the day. Now, you did have some of your bigger guys like Benny Parsons and Jimmy Spencer, but I mean, a lot of the guys were pretty fit farm dudes. They came from a farm or wherever else. I mean, they had to be in shape to steer those cars around. I mean, one of the simplest things you can do now is go look at an in-car today compared to an in-car in the 90s, the 2000s, the 70s, the 80s, the 60s, whatever it might be. These guys, they're turning the wheel a quarter inch here or there. You're just not really working that hard in the car. The power steering's so good. The setups the cars are so glued to the track. And obviously it does get hot in a car. I don't want to discredit that. But if being a hot is a sign of athleticism, I just have to disagree. I mean, that's just sometimes you're going to get hot playing sports. I mean, LeBron burns up when he's running up and down the floor 1,000 times a game. So
But I don't think anyone's saying that LeBron's not an athlete.
no, I mean he's not. I mean he is an athlete. That's what I'm saying. I mean
I,
it takes. Think about all the work he has to put in outside of the track to be what he is on the basketball court. Same with any NFL player, any tennis player, anything. How much work does a NASCAR driver have to put in each and every week? I would say very little.
I disagree still though because I've been on the side where I've gone to the gym and I've trained and a lot of these guys it's so advanced with the data and everything now. I mean, they're sitting there doing neck workouts and there's specific workouts that they have to do to kind of be in shape to be. And again, the great ones are going to separate themselves and take it seriously versus the non-great ones. I know you posted a funny video of, Mr. Mike Harmon there. Mike Harmon can barely fit in a race car. Like, yeah, he's not athletic at all, and he also runs dead last or doesn't even make the show. But if you want to seriously contend, I think you're going to take your health seriously, take your fitness seriously. You look at guys, I think of like Carl Edwards and Jimmy Johnson, Jamie McMurray. I mean, even you name any Hendrick guy too, they're all in shape. I saw Willie B in the off season at a Hurricanes game, and he had his little tight shirt on, and he looked pretty jacked. I'm not gonna lie. So I think, like I said, the guys that take it really seriously are gonna be more competitive than those who don't.
I mean, I agree that some teams definitely put health and stuff before and training before other teams. Like, RFK, I would say they don't put their training to forefront. But Hendrick, since Jimmy Johnson, honestly,
Mm-hmm.
has always put training at the top. They rarely have a driver that's out of shape. They all stay in that program where they work out all the time. So I think it just depends team to team to team. But the thing is just like I don't think that you have to stay in shape to be a good driver. I hate to keep bringing up Brad Keselowski, but dude ran second at one of the hardest tracks, Darlington. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, he is not the epitome of fitness, in my opinion.
Yeah. Anyway, well, we'll put a cap on it, but I definitely had to bring it up. I know that was a hot topic this week with Stephen A. Smith, and I was a little surprised by one of your tweets, so I had to have a chance to
Hey,
talk it
man.
out with you here. So
Well, hey, I you know,
it's America.
I
You can
just,
have your own opinion.
that's right.
You can have
Bald
mine.
Eagle.
That's right.
BaldEagle.com. That's right. That's all I saw this weekend.
Let's transition to Saturday, man. I don't know about you, but I think that was one of the best O-Raps races I've ever watched at Talladega. I was very much entertained. Corey Day, you called it, man. I mean, he's getting better and better every week. He's rough around the edges, but he got it done, man. Corey Day wins at Talladega. Pretty clean race overall, to be honest with you. I was a little surprised. RCR, that was the worst they've looked at a super speedway in years. I mean, Jesse Love certainly did a good job. He was toward the front, but where was the dominance that we've seen in the past, even at Daytona this year? I mean, I just feel like they've fallen off. I mean, what would you think overall?
Start to finish, probably one of the best super speedway races I have ever seen in my life. I mean, they were going for it from lap one onto the finish. Now, there were a couple single file runs there, here or there, but for the most part, man, they stayed at it after it all race long. Corey Day would not have predicted he would have won at Talladega. That'd be the last place. Like I told you, I did not bet on him this weekend. It's the first time I haven't bet on him in like 8 or 9 weeks. But like you said, RCR, the dominance seems to be fading. I think it goes back to what I said last week. Their engines are just, I'm wondering if Hendrick has taken over the engines and has taken over the dominance in the, the engine department in the ORAP series. So it's just, I'm curious as your thoughts as to what, I don't know. It's just crazy to think about.
Yeah, I think engines probably is a big part of it. I mean, Carson Quaffle looked amazing. I mean, Carson Quaffle win stage one. He looked like Austin Hill in previous races where he could fall back and then he could just walk his way back up to the front, no problem. I mean, almost pull out a line by himself and pass cars. So Carson actually did win stage one. Justin Allgaier won stage two. So the JRM cars were very fast. They were up front. And then this was a very interesting turning point in the race. A lot of, including JRM cars, got a blend line violation for impeding the field. I thought it was a little random because I feel like we see cars do this all the time. Lap cars that just stay in front of the leader and run. I mean, heck, Raja did it late in the race where he was getting lapped and he just pulled up in front of the leaders. I didn't think it was anything too much more than what we see with lap cars, but NASCAR deemed that you cannot come off pit road and blend right in front of the lead pack running much slower. I mean, they were definitely running slower because they came off a pit road, but I didn't think it was anything different than with lap cars. So a bunch of those guys got, tagged for that violation and had to do a pass through. And surprisingly, we never had any other caution for them to make it up. What did you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it was about time NASCAR made that call. It had gotten pretty dangerous, especially in the Cup Series. Ross Chastain's my favorite driver, but I would say he was the starter of this whole breaking up the draft with your car like that.
Him and Logano.
And yeah, him and Logano. And Justin, I think Justin's was way more egregious than Raja's. I think Raja's, you think maybe could have not have given the penalty there, but Justin's moved 2 different times to impede traffic, and it was just, let's be honest, it was pretty dangerous back there. They were about 20 miles an hour slower, and you had Jesse Love swerving back and forth just trying to get around them. So I don't mind the call. I think it was about time because this is just a recent trend where teams started doing that, but I don't think it's a good trend, especially for every time they wreck, which didn't happen Saturday, but anytime these guys get in a wreck, the first thing they say is, why do we drive so stupid? Why does NASCAR allow it? Well, they're trying to do something about it. So I think they were listening to the drivers in this case.
Yep. Well, I was probably most shocked at how clean the racing was for ORAPs. I mean, we've given these guys a lot of flack. I mean, I remember Atlanta, they wrecked everything. And I was really, really impressed with a lot of the racing from ORAPs over the weekend. Obviously, Talladega, there's a lot more room, so you expect to be able to maneuver around each other, but I know there's still some weapons out there, but overall I was really impressed with the driving up front. Came down to the very end, stage 3 went, fairly clean, and then, we had a 3-wide battle for the win. We had Sam Mayer, who had fallen back a little bit. He almost wrecked earlier. In stage 3 was able to save the car, fall back to the end of the line, and then charge its way back up front. We had Sheldon Creed, Corey Day, and Sam Mayer, all 3 wide for the lead. Sam Mayer gets a bad bump from the 18, and Corey Day just unbelievable job. He was really fast. The cars were wrecking on the white flag and brought out the caution, right before they entered the tri-oval there, and Corey Day was up front and scores the win. But I know you've been big on Corey Day, Ross. Obviously he had a lot of trouble at the beginning of the season, specifically running into his teammates. We were all pretty hard on him on the pod early on, but what'd you think of his race overall, and does this open up things for Corey Day moving forward?
Well, it's so tough with Talladega just as a barometer for the rest of the season, but he has been running better, and he did a great job of just being patient in that race and made his move when he needed to. Didn't rough anybody up, didn't make any crazy maneuvers from what I saw. But, I just think he's in too good of a car, and he's just too naturally fast not to start winning some of these races. And it's taken him probably, I'm curious to know how many races he's ran in ORAPs so far, but I would say it's close to 20 races, and he's kind of on that Zilish path. This is about when Zilish started cranking off wins. So I wonder if Corey's about to do something similar.
He very well could. Great job by him. You could tell he was pumped. Some other notable finishes. Brent Cruz looks to be really fast for JGR, another really young guy. He didn't even get to run all the races at the beginning of the season because of his age, and he's at the point where he might still be able to point his way into the chase, which I would think he can, driving a Joe Gibbs car. But he spotted the field several races at the beginning of the year, finishes P2. We saw him battling for the win against Zilic and Larson at Bristol, so another impressive outing for Brent Cruz. Jeremy Clements finishes P5. Dean Thompson P6. Parker Retzloff, again, another top 10 for Parker Retzloff. I'm getting pretty high on Parker Retzloff right now. They've been doing a great job with that Viking Motorsports team. Austin Green for Jordan Anderson Racing finishes P10. And how about JJ Yaley finishing 11th in the 5 car? A lot of really good results for some of the smaller teams as well.
Yeah, pretty crazy considering you think of the lack of wrecking and cautions there were that race for a lot of these guys that have great finishes. Great job of them. But I want to take it back to something and ask you a question about the Brent Cruz situation. Obviously, he missed the first few races because of his age, but he gets a waiver. And it kind of makes me think of why is that waiver eligible, whereas Corey Heim in the Truck Series not having sponsorship to be able to go race is not waiver eligible. Does that make any sense to you?
I think it's two different scenarios in my opinion. Brent Cruz couldn't race even if he wanted to, which you could, I guess, technically make that argument for Corey Heim too, but not having the sponsorship backing and like physically NASCAR not allowing you to compete are two different things, so, in my opinions. I mean, even if he didn't have the sponsorship backing, Brent Cruz I'm talking about, like NASCAR physically wouldn't let him compete because of the age restriction. Not that it's Corey Heim's fault or anything, but he just didn't have the sponsorship to compete. It wasn't a situation where NASCAR said, no, you cannot compete. With that being the case, I still think it's a stupid rule that they're not allowing him to be chase eligible. I still go by, if you can spot the field a couple races and still manage to work your way into points, you're not declared points in the other series, I don't see a problem with it. If anything, you're just punishing yourself for not being able to race. So I don't think they should, restrict him or make him not eligible to join the chase because of just that. But I do think it's two different things.
Yeah, you kind of went where I was thinking you would go right there, which is what I agree with. Like, why do we still, we've already had this discussion, but why have this waiver rule? That bothers me. Obviously, Brent wasn't allowed to race, which is understandable. I mean, if that's the rule they want to come up with, that's cool. But the whole waiver thing, just in my opinion, just needs to go away. We need to be done with it, and it shouldn't matter.
Yep, I'm with you. Well, congrats to Corey Day for having a day and getting it done out there on Saturday. He's definitely going to be one to keep an eye on for the rest of the season. Justin Allgaier still over 100-point lead. I don't think anyone's catching him, but as the chase resets, maybe Corey Day is someone that can contend with him for the title. So we'll see.
Yeah. I think it's going to be, my number one contender right now is probably Sheldon Creed, believe it or not. And then, Austin Hill's down to 8th in points. He has 4 top 10s this year. This is getting bad. I'm wondering, I don't want to jump to silly season stuff, but at what point, if he knows he's not getting that next step up at RCR, is he going to stick around at RCR? We might see someone like that jump at the end of this season.
I'm curious, and I could be completely off here. I'm just spitballing, but I wonder if the Cup teams have been so bad, they're starting to like almost pull resources from ORAPs and trying to go more in on the Cup side.
So it's funny you bring that up because my dad used to work at RCR, and he mentioned that sometimes that would happen. That the Cup team would be struggling, and they would pull resources from their shop. So yeah, it's completely possible.
Yeah, I mean something's definitely off. Especially, I think I had texted you over the weekend, and right off the bat, I mean Jesse Love got the pole, not surprising, but then I saw Austin Hill was P6, and most people will say sixth place ain't bad, but when you've been as dominant as Austin Hill is, and you're not starting on the front row, that was the first red flag for me. And then once we got into stage one, and he was just kind of riding in line. You know, Austin Hill ain't going to ride in line. If he's got the opportunity, he wants to lead, and he couldn't. And the announcers, the CW crew mentioned it. They're like, "This is very unlike him." And yeah, he didn't have the car. Jesse Love, like I said, was okay though. I mean, he wasn't dominant by any means, but he was definitely a contender.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that might be the end of the RCR dominance at plate tracks for a while, because we've seen in this series that usually a team will have a stranglehold for a year, year and a half. Well, they had a stranglehold for 5 years, and it's not looking good. If that's this week, we'll obviously have to monitor at, I think Atlanta's next. Atlanta's a little bit different beast, but yeah, he wasn't even as strong at Atlanta. So yeah, it'll
Yep,
be interesting.
it will. Well, let's transition to the Cup race today. Talk about riding the Dente, man. Carson Hocevar finally gets it done. The Hurricane himself stays out of trouble, positions himself up front early, and I still don't like the kid, man, but he did a hell of a job today. I will give him credit where credit's due. Very interesting celebration. It was cool as hell. I doubt we'll see that happen again. Kind of made me a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie. A couple times, I was like, "Man, this could go really bad if he slips." So I'm sure NASCAR will probably feel the same. But it was pretty damn cool to see him literally riding the Dente, riding the door all the way down the damn front stretch at Talladega, saluting the fans. I mean, it's pretty American. So, but what you think of the race overall, Ross? Also, congrats. I first got to say that you've been beat
Yeah,
this week. If you missed it, go back and watch our betcast from Wednesday or Thursday. You said Carson Hocevar, great odds. He's been up front. I think he's rep from the lead the last couple of times. So you called it, brother. Congrats.
man, he just makes moves that other guys are not willing to make. If he saw a way to get to the front of a line, he would take it. And it drove me crazy the last probably 20 laps. I kept texting you about it, where people would be clear and they would not take the run. Austin Dillon was running third, got clear. Now, I didn't want Austin to win either. Got clear, chose to stay third in line on the bottom instead of jumping up to the top where he could have been in the front of the line. And this happened numerous times with numerous guys, and I just don't understand it. The only way to win these super speedway races in the next gen cars is to be the front of your line, and you have to get there somehow, some way. Ricky Stenhouse had a chance, but he just stuck behind Hocevar. Just it's a curious move. These guys have to be watching enough tape to know that you have to be at the front of the line, and none of them would do it. It was very confounding to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it might just be a product of this car a little bit, but it did look like there were several opportunities for guys to jump up that lane, and for whatever reason, I guess they felt like it was too early. I was shocked that Ricky stayed behind Busher for as long as he did before he made the move, and then Chase didn't go with him either. So Carson gets it done, but let's break down the race. I gotta tip my hat to NASCAR. I will say that from the beginning, tried their best to try to mix things up to get away from this damn fuel saving. And we knew we were going to see it still, but I like that they flipped it and we got it out of the way at the beginning. And that's totally fine with me. The beginning of the race, it's like you're just kind of settling in. Even the commercials. I don't praise Fox very often, but I think they did a really good job of kind of front loading the commercials early and the first stage too. I'd be interested to go back and see, but I want to say I don't think we took but maybe one commercial break in stage three.
Yeah, wasn't many at all.
So I will say, we've given them a lot of crap, but I thought overall NASCAR Fox did a good job kind of front loading the first stage. It was a little boring, for a little while, but it was also a little compelling to kind of follow the strategy because you knew it was going to come to an end at some point, and then they were going to go racing. So I think knowing that in the back of my mind, knowing, hey, like this is almost like prepping myself, this is how it's going to be for the first stage. And at least it was kind of entertaining to follow along, like what strategy was going to be the best. And a lot of teams had trouble coming to pit road. I mean, we saw several speeding penalties. Chase Briscoe almost kills his tire carrier. I mean, there was all kinds of stuff going on, violations, and overall, the Fords managed to cut a stop out, and Ryan Preece and some of the RFK guys and Team Penske took advantage of stage one. What'd you think of all the fuel strategy early?
Boy, I mean, I guess if you're going to try to fix it in a way, I'm glad they did that. I'm glad we got that out of the way, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still just, we got to fix the car. The car just doesn't race good on super speedways. Race is good at Atlanta. Race is okay at Daytona, but something about Talladega, I don't know if this track's too wide. I don't know what it is, but you're literally stuck down on the bottom between the yellow line and a lane and a half up. And that's it. There's nothing else. So I don't know. What do you think? What do you think they need to do? Because this is still just not good racing. Think about it. The guy that led stage two, the two front runners at stage two, at the start of stage two, led the whole stage, finished 1-2. Same thing with stage three. Yeah. I mean, it's just,
I don't know what the answer is. All I want is, I saw this tweet from Dale Tanhart. Anyone that is on X will know who I'm talking about.
He's a good follow.
And I'm going to just read what he tweeted. I screenshotted it. He says, if Steve O'Donnell wants to truly unite the NASCAR fan base, he will concede that the future of NASCAR does not rely on the Gen 7 car. It relies on the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series car. Please concede the obvious, make the future racing product better. And I don't think I could say it any better. I mean, the O'Reilly car is entertaining. They put on a hell of a show on Saturday. And I think the closer we can get to something like that, almost like the old days, like, to me, the O'Reilly car should mirror the Cup car and vice versa. The only difference should be it should be a higher horsepower Cup car. And that's what it used to be back in the early 2000s, the 90s. And I just think it'll unite it all the way around full circle, because if you want the ORAP series to be a true feeding series, to me, you need to give them Cup-like experience as much as possible. And I think we talked about it, about the road courses, right? When we were talking about SVG and Connor coming down, getting seat time, etc. But it doesn't truly help them because the cars are so different, right? So I think you need to unify those cars. And I'm careful saying that because I don't want them to make the ORAP's car like the Cup car. Like, that would be the worst case scenario. I think they need to make the Cup car more like the O'Reilly car right now and try to get that racing closer. I don't know if that's possible. I know the whole reason for going to the Gen 7 was trying to cut back on expenses and all this stuff, but you can't sacrifice the whole product for that. I don't know. I don't know what the exact answer is. I'm not an engineer. I'm not super smart when it comes to the nuts and bolts of this stuff. But all I can tell you is from a fan perspective and watching racing, it needs to be closer to that car on Saturday.
Yeah, I would kill for it to be like the car on Saturday, because right now we're just in a place where the big teams are just outspending the smaller teams, even in the Cup Series. I mean, Denny Hamlin alluded to it on his podcast, but Gibbs is spending millions and millions and millions of dollars on parts of the same part, and then they're picking through those parts to find the best parts because they have some laser scanning thing. Like, the amount of money that they're spending now hasn't helped them at all cut costs. If anything, they're probably spending more, let's be honest. And, we got to do something, and the racing is just, we've seen it. It's just building up all year. The racing is getting worse and worse. I hate to say that because I love the Cup Series, but in my opinion, the racing is just getting blander and blander and blander, and I don't see a improvement coming.
I just wish we could get to a point where you got a guy that starts the third lane or, is 20th place and pulls out a line to get a little momentum going and has some people go with them. Even, and maybe that's why Ricky did wait so long to try to make that move, because it's like, it feels like a dud of a car. It's like if you pull out, it's like you lose all momentum. Like you're almost forced to push. Like it's almost a track position race in the sense of like the race is to get to the front and then just hold your trap position because if anyone, especially that top lane, like we were texting and I said, I don't think the top's going to prevail because just on my time on iRacing on super speedways, I know get to the bottom most of the time because you've got the yellow line as a blocker. No one can go down there. So the guy on the inside, his literally only choice is to push you. Like he's not going to have a chance at the win unless something happens to you leading the bottom. But on the outside, especially at Talladega, there's so much room where, I mean, we saw it happen. Like Ricky tried to pull out a line on Busher. Chase didn't even go with Ricky. He went to the inside. There were three or four, and the whole outside line just dissipated. And Carson just walks away with it because there's nowhere for Bowman to go. Bowman's going to push him, right? So, yeah, that needs to change. Like, it needs to be able to where you can pull out a line and start that third line and get some momentum. And it's like there's almost so much downforce on the cars and they're so stuck to the ground. It's just, you kind of got what you got.
Yeah, and I just wonder, like, it's just, I hate that they're gridlocked, like you said. It's just, we're at constant gridlock. People aren't moving positions. Everybody's just staying in line. I mean, it's disappointing when you go into the last stage and it's like, oh, they're going to go all out now. But in a way, that's like the worst thing that can happen because there's nowhere they can go. And I guess what Denny said is that the cars are too slow by themselves and too fast in a pack. So I guess you got to find a way to make the car faster by itself to make that third lane work. Yeah. So it's just, I don't know what you can do besides like drive the ORAPS car, like you said. I just don't know, man. It's just they're in a box because they put themselves in this box. Hopefully, with the change in leadership, which I don't know if we'll talk about later or not, but hopefully, you know, they'll start listening.
Yeah, we'll certainly see. Probably the biggest moment in the race. We normally call it the big one. I think this one we can deem the huge one at Talladega. If I read it correctly, I think they said it may have been the biggest wreck in history in terms of cars involved. They counted 26 cars were involved in this accident. Interesting to how it kind of came about. You had Ross Chastain and Bubba move up in front of the two Penske cars in the middle. And to me, it looked like a situation of like a pusher pushing the pusher type of chain reaction. Joey Logano, I'm sorry. He whines and whines and whines. And part of it I get, but I saw he wouldn't even comment on like how to fix it or what the main problem was or something. He's like, we either fuel save or you wreck. He's like, those are our only two options right now. I think he's just being a sore loser because there's no way that he can Mickey Mouse his way into any more championships at this point. I think he might not even make the chase at this point. He's in 15th place. He's kind of having one of those seasons when he won the championship when his average finish was P17. But to me, it looked like Joey pushed Ryan, who pushed Ross, who got into Bubba, and it kind of I don't know if it just hit him in a wrong spot or it was an awkward push or whatever, but it turned Bubba across the whole field and it killed almost everybody. I mean, the whole 3 and 4 at Talladega looked like a damn parking lot. Took out a lot of really good cars.
Yeah, what's the deal with the Toyotas? They could not take a push all day. That was super weird. Yeah. Even when Bell was in front, he was wiggling all over. Bubba couldn't take a push. Like you said, it was everybody pushing through each other, but it just seemed like the Toyotas would get way out of alignment or whatever. And then same thing with Eric Jones when he got clear to the bottom, was leading that line. They tried to push him up. He couldn't go nowhere either. He was just getting swirly all over. Weird deal.
So that was a huge moment. Took out, I mean, it's easier. They kept saying on the TV to list who was not involved versus who was involved. Took out a lot of good Hendrick guys, a lot of Gibbs guys. Tyler Reddick managed to still hustle that thing around. He had some trouble later on, but yeah, just a lot of really good cars. And it kind of put us in this weird situation where we had a lot of guys who don't normally run up front were the ones racing. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Ross Chastain goes on to win stage 2. looked like, this could be a great opportunity for him and his team. We've talked about Trackhouse's struggles on this pod. One thing I wanted to bring up that I thought was really interesting, you're not always going to catch little bits and pieces watching the broadcast, but I went ahead and bit the bullet and did subscribe on HBO Max to get the in-car, which I did that last year, and it's a lot of fun because you can flip to whatever in-car you want and ride on board, and I like to sync it up with the TV so it's exactly at the same time. And I was riding with Denny a little bit, and I didn't understand it at first, but Bob Pockers tweeted it out after, which helped me understand a little bit. It was a very unique situation. For those that don't know, you can take a wave around, right? If you don't get the lucky dog when a caution comes out, as long as all the leaders in front of you pit. So if you cycle to be in front of the leaders, you have the option to wave around, but you can't pit. So right before the end of the stage there, I thought it was a really good call by their team. They're racing Austin Cindric. Austin was a little bit ahead. He was going to get the dog. So they made the call to bring Denny down pit road, take a splash of fuel under green. They knew he wasn't going to lose another lap. And then the goal was for him to save a lot under caution, and all the leaders would pit, head into the final stage. Denny was going to cycle around, take the wave around, and be back on the lead lap. Well, the situation that happened was Noah Gragson stayed out initially. They opened pit road, everyone came down, and then Noah stayed out, and I have no idea why he stayed out, but he did. And they were like, well, we might not be able to wave now because the four stayed out. Well, I guess they were going to choose, but then they ended up adding a lap. Pit road, I guess, was closed at the time. Noah peeled off to pit, which cycled Denny and some other guys in front of the leaders. Thus, you would think they could take the wave around, but NASCAR told them no because pit road was closed. So at the time, and I guess that was the rule, is once pit road is closed and if there's a leader in front of you, then you can't take the wave and you have to fall back at that point. I think it's a very gray area in my opinion. They were complaining on the radio because I guess there was a situation like that earlier in the race where the 38 car was in the same situation and they did let him wave. And they said they talked to the tower and the tower said that they made a mistake and that it shouldn't have happened like that. A little bit of controversy there for sure. You can't, kind of going back to NASCAR's inconsistency, I guess they said they made the mistake, but I don't know. To me, even if pit road's closed, and to me the leader didn't maintain, right? He came down pit road, he forfeited that spot. So I thought you'd be able to take advantage of the wave around. Did you catch any of that, Ross? I know we were texting a little bit during it.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. You would think, I don't think Denny's crew would have made that call if they didn't think they were going to get the wave around there. So I thought, like you told me what he was doing, I was like, dang, that's really smart. And then for them not to give him it goes back to NASCAR just needing to be consistent with their calls. That was a weird one for them not to follow through with. That was odd.
Yeah, it definitely was. So I'm looking forward to hearing on Denny's pod this week his reaction. You could tell Denny was just like, what in the world? And then Bob thankfully tweeted the rule out, which was cool. But it sounds like to me the 38 definitely got away with one, and he finished fifth.
Did he? That must have been why I did so good on DraftKings.
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
Fifth. So he got away with one there. So, but yeah, stage 3, nothing too crazy. The only 2 incidents I could think of is we had the tire carcass incident. Was that Reddick that had an issue there? Well, obviously we had Ty Gibbs blow a tire as well, but he already had damage. And then poor Eric Jones, man. Legacy Motor Club running P3. That was a sweet Dorito scheme, by the way. I like that a lot on the 43 car. And it looked like Carson kind of took a bad push from Ricky a little bit and kind of got a little loose off the corner, overcorrected and bodied Eric. And Eric was just kind of at the wrong place at the wrong time. Would have been interesting to see if it, would have gone green versus having to have that late restart. But Eric Jones wrecks. Tough day, tough end for him. And then, of course, we get the restart to settle it. But what'd you think about the closing laps there? I know we talked about, obviously, it was hard to pass.
Man, it was just so much gridlock like we talked about. It's just you are where you are, and you just got to hope that the leaders make a bad decision and try to take each other out. I kind of expected – I'm thinking that if Busher and Hocevar were side by side going down through the tri-oval, and Ricky didn't make that move. I'm thinking, for some reason in my head, it just has in my head that I think that Hocevar would have pushed Busher up the track, and someone like Bowman would have got past them both 3 wide there at the end, but just didn't work out that way. But yeah, it's just unfortunate the box that we're stuck in as fans having to watch that at the end, because you just kind of know what's going to happen. You just know it's going to be one of them two, and you knew it was going to be one of them two the last 30 laps. It just I don't know, just not a whole lot going on there.
Yep. Well, Carson Hocevar, as we already mentioned, gets the win. Good for Carson. A couple more notable finishes. Chris Buescher had a great day. Came home P2. You could see a little bit of disappointment post-race. He's been close to a lot of these, and his time's coming for sure. I think Chris Buescher is such an underrated driver, too. I mean, he's really good for what he's got. Not saying that RFK is bad by any means, but he just always seems to be able to make the most out of his equipment. Good for Alex Bowman, P3. Good podium finish for Alex. Obviously, he's had a rough year with all his vertigo and different things he struggled with. Chase Elliott, kind of a quiet P4. Good day for Chase, though. Good points day. Zane Smith sneaking up in P5. Ricky Stenhouse. That was my long shot pick for the week, and I thought he was going to have an opportunity for a long time. A couple more notables: Austin Cindric, the lone Penske driver that survives, makes it up to P8. Noah Gregson, P9, and Kyle Busch, a much needed top 10 for that team as well. So
RCR top 10. Let's go.
That was. I don't know why I'm surprised by this, but I think I still was a little bit. That was his first top 10 of the whole year, Kyle Busch.
Yeah, that was RCR's first top 10. And he was actually one of my top 10 bets on the BetCast for anybody. So,
Ricky didn't quite get me the win there, but we were both really high on him for a top 10 finish, and Ricky delivers a top 10 finish as well. So,
Ricky, man, he just knows how to show up at the end of those things. He does such a good job.
If he can stay out of trouble, man, I feel like he's almost a lock for a top 10 at these super speedways. So, go listen to our BetCast. A shameless plug here that normally comes out on Wednesdays or Thursdays. We highlight all the odds coming into the race, and that's been a fun segment. So if y'all want to try,
hey, we're hot, man. Now's the time to watch because we are hot.
We're 2 for 2.
We are very hot.
We're
doing good.
Absolutely. So Tyler Reddick has damage control. Comes back with a P15 finish and is still a mountain above everybody in the points. So after 10 races, Mr. Reddick is 5-5 on the year. Got a 500 record for winning, which is pretty outstanding.
Would they say he would be leading the AL West in baseball? Or something? Yeah,
exactly.
Pretty wild.
Crazy.
Congrats, Tyler Reddick, AL West champion.
That's right. So, well, Ross, should we go over our Talladega picks?
Oh gosh, yeah. So, let me see here. I took Cody Ware, who was actually running like 7th at the end of stage 2.
Thank God. My pick, man.
He finished 21st, right ahead of Rob's pick.
I'm going to give him a little bit of credit. After I was really, really hard on him last week, I don't take anything back that I said, by the way. I'm not going to back.
No, absolutely.
But I will give him where credit's due. He stayed out of trouble today. Honestly, I do think he actually deserved a little better finish than where he ended up today. So he did a good job running in the top 10 for a lot of the day. He really did.
Yeah, I mean, Cody Ware, your whole goal should just not be the story, and you were not the story today, so good job. 51 car, 51 crew, good job.
Chad Fincham in the 66 car running to the front. I know it's because everyone
leading laps.
Fuel. I know it's because everyone was saving fuel, but still, man, that's cool. He took a piece of junk car and drove that thing to the front to lead some laps at Talladega. So good for him.
It's always good when the small man gets up there and leads some laps. I mean, that's one good thing about Talladega is getting up there. I think Cody was actually 3rd at the start right there. At one point,
so. I think it was Cody where it was P2 and Chad Fincham was leading at one point, and I'm like, look at this. This is Talladega.
What was interesting about stage 1 was what was Briscoe doing, like trying to cover all the lanes up there. He's just such a weird driver. He just makes the weirdest decisions. I don't know what it is about him.
He's definitely in another race that he's just throwing points away, man. I mean, you've got one of the best cars every weekend, and all you got to do is not make stupid mistakes. And there he is, making dumb mistakes, running over pit crew members, and I don't know what else he did, but he just
Yeah, he's a low IQ racer in my opinion. He's fast, but he's kind of low IQ when it comes to racecraft and stuff like that.
Yep. So, well, it feels good to finally get back to victory lane in our picks. I started out real hot. I think we do need to address something to the fans. Our great friend Rob Sherwood is going to be stepping away a little while. He has not been on the pod the last couple weeks, so Rob's got a lot going on in his life right now. He's got a little one on the way as well, going back to school. He's doing a lot of stuff. So we wish Rob all the best. I know he's super busy. Hopefully he will join us every now and then as a special guest. But in case you guys were wondering where Mr. Rob Sherwood has been, that is the case. So we can kind of officially leave him out of the picks now, Ross, and we'll just go head to head.
Okay, yeah, sounds great. So obviously you won with
So what win is it? Can we have a new tally?
So we'll just keep Rob's wins in there, just so we don't have to get all funky, because I'll have to do the math on that. You currently have 4 wins, and I currently have 3, so it's 4-3 currently on the season.
Sounds good.
And so I guess I pick first, and I'm sitting here looking through my picks, and I'm trying to think who I want to use.
Week.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I'm still trying to avoid the Chevys till they get their stuff together. So I'm probably going to go with a Toyota. And the Toyota I am going to go with is the guy I just said has low racing IQ, and that is Chase Briscoe.
All right, Chase Briscoe, huh?
That's who I'm choosing.
I just Googled the results from last year, and this is a wide mix-up.
I want to say there was a lot of chaos last year in that race, wasn't there?
Because there's a lot of guys up here who do not normally finish in the top 10. All right, I just got to beat Chase Briscoe. That's all I got to do. So I am going to go with... I think I already... Did I already take Chris Buescher?
Chris Buescher.
I need to have my list.
I know. I need to do a better job updating. You have not taken Chris Buescher.
I'm going to take Chris Buescher, Mr. Texas himself. It's a home race for him.
Makes sense.
I like where RFK is at. I think Chris is going to be running top 10, fringe top 5. Never know. You hang in there, you might have a chance. But I like Mr. Buescher to win, to beat Briscoe heads up.
I'm looking at the results last year. How did Joey Logano win that race? Do you remember?
It had to be a fuel scenario or track position or something.
Yeah, it had to be track position.
I do not remember at all. That's going to be a tough race to pass, too. It's going to be another track position race.
Yeah, so I heard something on the broadcast today. I briefly mentioned it to you, but Joey Logano said part of his struggles this year is he's just lacking speed. I don't know about you, but I kind of feel like Blaney has plenty of speed. Cindric's been running better, so could be a driver issue possibly.
You know what, Ross? I'm glad you brought that up because it's going to be a little bit of my rant. Fox did a special. Did you know the 22 pit crew is number 3 out of everybody? And they had mentioned that coming into today, which I don't believe they had an issue today because they got wrecked, but they said they went 9 races and they did not have any big moment or big mistake. And here we go. And it goes back to, I'm going to jump all over it. We've danced around it. We've talked about it a little bit. Ryan Blaney is your A driver at Penske. I don't know who needs to hear this, but that is the facts. Ryan Blaney is a much better driver than Joey Logano. Joey, I don't know if he's just reeling or what the deal is. The dude's a 3-time champion, and I will give him maybe credit on his first one, but like I remember the dude was just, I mean, it looked like someone shot his dog when they announced his chase format because in my opinion, he knows that he is never going to win another championship again. As long as the chase format around, He's not going to. Mark my words. And he is definitely not the best driver at Penske anymore. There is a new sheriff in town. His name is Ryan Blaney. And Ryan is a stud. And please give your top driver the number one pit crew. If you've got the number 3 pit crew in the entire series and Ryan Blaney is consistently up front, winning these races and challenging, why in the hell would you give him, the trainee guys? It doesn't make sense to me. What's going on?
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, Logano hasn't been good in quite a while. It's weird to say that and him be a champion 2 of the last 4 years, but he's just not been fast. And his wins, I was just looking at when you were ranting right there, I was just looking at his win. Fort Worth last year, that was obviously, I think we established that it must have been track position because he led 7 laps. I'm going to go back
and watch the race this week, Ross, and I'm going to report to you on the betcast what happened.
Okay, because I want to say, because he's had 2 dominant wins that weren't Atlanta in the last 5 years, and that was both Phoenix championship races. That's it.
When the cars are all cheated up, and I've got resources that back up that statement. I'm not going to talk about it, but it's someone that works.
Don't break your sources. Yeah.
No, I'm not. But he works in the industry, and I can confirm that them cars were cheated up. Damn, and cheating Fords.
He had that Darlington race where he bumped William Byron out of the way in 2022. I can't believe that was 6 years ago or 4 years ago. That's wild.
That is wild.
But beyond that, I mean, he's kind of in a Kyle Busch kind of era where he hasn't really dominated or won really any real. I mean, he wins due to circumstances and honestly probably because he has a great pit crew and
a great crew.
A really good crew. Yeah, cool. Great crew chief. Yeah, absolutely. And his fall needs to be studied because I would say it's worse than Kyle Busch's, and it's hard to say that because he's just won 2 titles. But
that's close. I don't know.
I don't know. It's just
right up there.
Kyle's at least in a shitty car. I mean, Logano's not in a shitty car, That's what I'm saying. I mean, he's in a race-contending, race-winning car. And that's what I was talking about earlier in the year is like Penske, you really need to look in your mirror. You got one really good guy who's basically you're having to rely on to carry the organization right now because no offense to Cindric, but he's not going to be winning any races unless it's Talladega or Atlanta or something or just pure luck. Logano's not either. And Ford, I mean, Blaney's it right now. Blaney and maybe Buescher and Keselowski occasionally to win races. It's tough right now. They're going to have to put some money in some drivers somewhere, some way.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to say, but well, we're going to be 2-stepping next week as we continue on Texas Motor Speedway. Obviously, they kind of reconfigured it several years ago. I know it's not a lot of people's favorite track. I think it's going to be a lot of track position. It's going to be really, really hard to pass. Kind of one of those races that Saturday is really, really important where you qualify and trying to hang on to that track position as long as you can. I'm sure the Toyotas are probably going to be the ones to beat again. Historically, it's been a really good track for Larson and some of the Hendrick boys too. I think you'll kind of see that mix of probably Gibbs, 2311, maybe RFK, and maybe a Hendrick guy here and there is going to be my guess. Anyway, well, thank you guys for tuning in. Obviously, it was a fun weekend at Talladega. Congrats to all our winners. New winners, by the way, all 3 of them: Andy J, Corey Day, and Carson Hocevar. So a lot of fun racing action, guys. I can't say it enough. Watch our betcast coming out. It's a new segment. Ross has been absolutely killing these picks. I had, some decent ones as well, but that Carson Hocevar call was phenomenal. And this should be a little bit more predictable as well going into Texas. So should be some low-hanging fruit for some people out there. So stay tuned on that. That'll be coming out Wednesday or Thursday. Ross, you got anything else?
No, not that I can think of. Just ready to go pop the second baby out and call it a week.
Congrats, by the way. Next time we chat on here, you're going to be a 2-time dad. So congrats to you and your wife, man.
2-timer. That's right.
Absolutely. So, well, guys, thank y'all again. We love you guys. Make sure you go check us out on Spotify, YouTube, TikTok for all, kind of the recaps and you can, and Apple Music as well, right? So, or Apple Podcasts. So,
I'm trying to get us all on all the platforms. It's a process,
Yeah.
but
So
we're working on it.
fun.
We're
We're
working
starting
on
to get a little traction now. We like talking with you guys, especially on TikTok. You know, if you think our tapes are garbage, come roast us. There was one guy on there that clearly, you know, his mom didn't love him enough when he was little or something, and you know, he had some words to say, but that's all right. We welcome it. So come chat with us on the TikTok. Watch us and listen, subscribe, like, and invite your friends and family. Until next time, we'll see you guys for another episode of the Burn It Down podcast.